I'm very, very satisfied so far with the Arsenal season. I think they did a great season. What they missed at the end, probably experience, how to handle the pressure as well. But for me, they were missing depth of the bench, you know. When you look at City squad, Pep Guardiola has many options, you know, to change, to make a turnover into his team. And I've been watching, you know, every single game. And the last few weeks, I could see that some players were very tired. Arteta used to play with the same 11 all the time. Never get any changement, sometimes some rotation, but always at the end of the game. So I think experience, rotations, depth of the bench, and probably the mental, you know, strength, especially when you know that you're fighting against City. City, it's a bunch of guys, you know, that get used to win the Premier League and titles for years. They know each other for years now. And probably the best team in Europe right now. They've been among the best teams as well in Europe for the last few years. So winning 5 titles in 6 years is amazing, because Premier League in England is, for me, the hardest, you know, league in the world. So for me, that was missing, you know, from Arsenal. But I'm very proud of their season. I think it was a joy to watch them. The DNA of the club was back on the pitch. And I remember that 2 years ago, they were so far away from this, even at the beginning of the season. I hope so, but it will depend on the transfer market. I think they have a very good squad, actually, but they need to improve the quantity of quality players. Arteta must have more options, you know, on different positions. And I think some players need to feel as well the pressure, you know, of being try to fight, you know, for their position on the first 11. And this is for me the main things, you know, for Arsenal during the next few weeks. But on top of it, there is big clubs, you know, they were struggling this season. So can you imagine there is probably 7 or 8 clubs that fighting, you know, for the Premier League title. So you can see that only in England. In Spain, it's not the same. In France, it's not the same. In Italy as well. Maybe in Italy you have 5 or 6 clubs, but you have so many strong and powerful teams in England. There is so many players I would love to see at Arsenal, you know, next season. But definitely, I think they need to bring at least 5 or 6 players, you know, into the team, especially the spine of the team, you know. Central defense, midfield area, because Xhaka, I think, is going to leave. He scored 2 goals yesterday, but I think he's about to leave the club. So they need to bring at least minimum 2 midfield players, 1 central defender, probably 1 striker, different profile than Jesus or Nketiah, and probably 1 more winger. Because with Trossard, with Martinelli, with Saka, they have quality players, but I think they need more, because if you play every 3 days next season, especially in Champions League, the demands, you know, physically and mentally will be higher, and the expectation as well from this season. So they need to improve. They have improved so much from the last season, individually and collectively, but they need to go a step further on now. Can they be able to fight for the title? I still believe it's probably too early to say that. I think there is still a gap with Manchester City in terms of winning mentality, in terms of quality in the team, but they are in a good way, definitely. Football changed a lot. There is always, you know, fashions, you know, when you see a winning team, just like Spain, you know, the national team, when they won with Xavi, Iniesta and co, everyone wanted to play the same way, position of the ball. And then for the last few years, it was more direct football, you know, with Liverpool, you know, things like this. But even Guardiola, you know, it changed. It's not, he still have the position of the ball, but he can adapt, you know, the way his team plays, you know, on the pitch. It depends on the opponents as well, but it depends on the players you have in the squad. So for me, It was easy for me because when you have the chance, the luxury to play different position into the team at the highest level, you need to have understanding tactically, you know. You must be intelligent, you know, tactically. But on top of it, you must be as well good technically as well, because playing left back in days was not the same than playing central defense, and playing as a holding midfielder is not the same than playing, you know, box-to-box midfielder. See, everything is different, but you need to adapt yourself. So if you have tactically the mentality, the intelligence, and technically the power, you know, to do what you want with the ball, then you can play whenever you want on the pitch. 3 years ago, I was saying that I was a big fan of. Some people were laughing about me. I was saying that I was a big fan of Caicedo from Brighton, McAllister as well in midfield, and Mitoma as well. All of those players, they are playing for Brighton right now, and they were laughing at me. Now, when I see the like of Manchester United, Arsenal, those clubs, you know, they want to buy those guys. Caicedo, I was following as well, just like McAllister, the World Cup with their country. And I was so shocked about their age, especially Caicedo. He can play different positions into the team. He's got a winning mentality. He's got a great heart. I love McAllister as well. The way he plays with the ball, the visions, you know, technically, never lose the ball. And football this is what football is about. You get the ball, you don't lose it. Just like Pep Guardiola, you know, philosophy. Pep Guardiola hates not having the ball. He wants to get the ball. And if you have most of the time the ball, you have more chances to win the game. So those guys, yeah. Rice as well, you know, from West Ham. I think it's time for him to leave. He's linked with a different club in England. But I think, as I said, Arsenal needs midfield players, strong midfield players with winning mentality. The best player I play with, there is so many. I can say Zidane, Rivaldo, Dennis Bergkamp, Gianfranco Zola, Thierry Henry, George Weah. There's so many golden ball players, you know, gifted. So I would probably say Zinedine Zidane, because he was a magician. He can hide the ball on the pitch and where's the ball? He does something, you know, he does trick with his bodies that was natural, and you cannot invent that. What is the worst opponent I play against? I would probably say in England. I remember with Patrick Vieira, and that we met recently again, and we spoke about that, and we were laughing about that, and we said that football changed a lot. Back in days, it was different. More personality, more character on the pitch 20 years ago. More fighting spirit, you know, more leaders. And when I looked at Manchester United team right now, we were agree, and we said every time we met Manchester United 25 years ago, we were always careful about two players especially. It was Ryan Giggs and Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes was probably with Steven Gerrard the hardest opponent on the pitch, because they were leaders with winning mentality. They were tough to win the ball and tough with the ball. So they were capable of changing the game like this.